Look, let's just acknowledge the giant elephant in the room right off the bat, shall we? There is a lot of economic anxiety out there right now. High inflation, changing political policies, rising consumer costs. Man, it's enough to make literally anyone nervous about their job or their business. But what if we didn't have to just sit around and panic? What if there was an actual proven playbook for surviving and actually thriving during an economic downturn? Well, guess what? That's exactly what the data is showing us today. We're diving into a comprehensive new study on recession management right here in America. The goal? To help all of us walk into any economic downturn with our eyes wide open.
So here's the billion-dollar question on everyone's mind. Are we actually heading for a recession? And hey, it's completely valid to be asking this. Shifting stock prices, uncertain unemployment figures, stubborn inflation, and changing tariff policies under the current administration, it's got everyone on edge. The source data points out that the uncertainty surrounding trade and potential consumer taxes is causing some very real anxiety for both employers and workers alike. But instead of getting caught up in all that panic, we really need to look at the hard numbers. Let's see what the data says.
Okay, check this out. What's absolutely fascinating here is what the leaders of major corporations are predicting behind closed doors. In a recent poll of over 300 CEOs, a striking 62% forecast a recession, or at least some kind of economic downturn within the next 6 months. Breaking that down a bit further, 48% expect a mild recession or slowdown, while 14% are bracing for a severe recession. This isn't just a vague, sky is falling kind of feeling. This is a calculated forecast coming directly from the people steering the absolute largest companies in the country. Now, to navigate whatever might be coming our way, we aren't just guessing in the dark here. The strategies we're exploring in this explainer come directly from a study of 8 senior executives and entrepreneurs. And get this, together, they share nearly 300 years of combined professional experience. We're talking about leaders who have successfully steered their ships through the recession of 1990, the dot-com bust of 2000, the massive Great Recession of 2008, and of course the crazy disruptions of the 2020 pandemic. Basically, they've seen it all, and they've shared exactly what works when the chips are down, and just as importantly, what totally fails. Section 1. Vulnerable versus resilient industries. Taking a macro look at the economy, a super vital truth emerges. Not all sectors suffer equally during a downturn. It's like a giant puzzle, and the crucial piece is understanding the divide between vulnerable and resilient industries. On the left, we have our resilient industries. These are the folks providing essential, often skill-driven services. Think healthcare professionals, utility workers, grocery stores, and discount retail chains. These sectors tend to hold incredibly steady because, well, people are always going to need medical care, electricity, and affordable food, completely regardless of what the stock market is doing on any given Tuesday. Contrast that with the vulnerable industries on the right: luxury goods, automotive sales, and travel. These rely heavily on discretionary spending, the nice-to-haves. When budgets tighten up, people immediately stop buying high-end jewelry, they hold off on buying that shiny new car, and they cancel those expensive vacations. Taking this a step further into those specific recession-vulnerable sectors, we have to look beyond just luxury and travel. Sectors like construction, real estate, and advertising are traditionally the very first ones to get absolutely crushed when spending freezes. It makes sense, right? New building projects get delayed, the housing market stalls out, and companies immediately slash their marketing budgets just to save cash. So if you're working in one of these industries, the warning lights should definitely be flashing, telling you it's time to prepare. Section 2, the Employee Survival Guide. Pivoting directly to you, the individual viewer. If you're sitting there worried about potential layoffs, listen up, because these executives highlighted several massive mistakes that employees tend to make when a recession looms. First off, avoid panicking and spending your time gossiping at the water cooler. Honestly, it just makes you look distracted. Second, absolutely do not take on new high-interest loans for a car or a house right now. You literally have to preserve your cash. Also, try to avoid going into survival mode where you just disengage and do the bare minimum because you assume you're going to be laid off anyway. But, perhaps the most surprising mistake to avoid? Suddenly overperforming? Now, you might be wondering, why on earth is sudden overperformance a bad thing? Well, as one real estate executive in the study pointed out, making these sudden, Herculean efforts only when your job is at risk, it comes off as super performative and insincere. And it gets even worse if you try to make yourself look better by putting your colleagues down to save your own skin. The reality is this: recessions do not create toxic behavior, they reveal it. Managers definitely notice the people who quietly and consistently deliver results day in and day out. Character, consistency, and being a genuinely reliable team player, Those are the things that truly keep you off the chopping block, not frantic last-minute heroics. So what exactly is the antidote to all this job anxiety? Simple. You make yourself totally indispensable. Here is the highly actionable advice straight from those 300 years of executive experience. First, cross-train in new departments. If your company implements a hiring freeze, be the person who can step up and cover multiple roles. Next, learn new technology, specifically AI and automation tools, because companies are going to be forced to do a whole lot more with way fewer resources. Consistently deliver value and proactively volunteer for extra responsibilities. When leadership is sitting in a room looking at who to keep, they always keep the highly productive, flexible problem solvers.
Section 3. The Manager's Playbook. All right, shifting perspectives for a second. How exactly do business owners and managers handle personnel during a major financial squeeze? History actually shows us two very different approaches here. On one hand, you have survival layoffs. This is the panic-induced, highly reactive slashing of staff by companies that completely failed to plan ahead. Honestly, it's a mess. On the other hand, you have strategic efficiency. The study notes that companies that actually emerge successfully from crises rely way less on those reactive layoffs and lean much more into operational improvements. They pause non-essential hiring, they leave administrative positions open temporarily, and they heavily focus on cross-training so they can manage with natural attrition rather than immediate morale-destroying layoffs. To pull off that strategic efficiency, managers have to follow these vital steps. Step 1. Assess your financial health honestly, right now, way before the panic even hits. Look closely at your cash flow risks and figure out where efficiencies can be found. Step 2. Communicate transparently. Hold regular town halls. The executives stress that rumor mills literally destroy productivity. If you are just totally transparent about the company's financial realities, you significantly calm employee anxiety. And finally, step 3. Do absolutely everything you can to retain and cross-train your top talent. Why? Because trying to rebuild a strong team after a recession is over is unbelievably costly. Section 4. Actions to prepare now. Bringing this all together, what holistic, real-world preparation can you actually do today? We are talking about immediate personal action. First, you need to upskill and reskill continuously. Financially speaking, start working on building a solid 6 to 12-month emergency fund in cash, so you aren't forced into making bad, desperate decisions if your income suddenly drops. You'll also want to diversify your income streams. Maybe consider picking up a side hustle or doing some freelance work. Expand your professional network, improve your online presence, and really figure out how to live below your means. The ultimate goal here is to build a personal safety net so thick that any economic turbulence just feels like a slight bump in the road. It's really worth reflecting on this absolutely legendary investment philosophy from Warren Buffett, which was heavily echoed by the executives in the study. Be fearful when people are greedy, and be greedy when people are fearful. It's such a great perspective. During an economic downturn, lagging companies are actually twice as likely to overtake industry leaders compared to normal economic times. And for individuals like us, a recession can actually be the perfect time to upskill, pivot your career into a more resilient industry, or heck, even start a brand new business when overhead costs are lower. It's a rare, golden opportunity for reinvention. At the end of the day, a recession isn't a destiny. It's literally just a phase in the economic cycle. And you now have the playbook. You know the exact mistakes to avoid, the skills to acquire, and the strategies to implement right now. So the question really isn't whether a recession is coming, it's how will you turn the coming chaos into your greatest opportunity. Take this playbook, prepare with your eyes wide open, and go thrive out there.